Ever since Donald Trump came onto the political scene back in 2015, he has had a very creepy and weird infatuation with tariffs. Even in his first term, he was trying to do the whole tariff thing. Now then, he had people around him that would push back on this very bad idea, but nevertheless, it has stuck with him, and now in his second terms, things have been even more chaotic and crazy than they were in his first term. He's been on again, he's been off again, he's doing our allies, he's doing our enemies, he's bringing them back off again. It's all just been one big mess. Donald Trump has now paused tariffs for a month, but that month is about up. And maybe, just maybe, we might be seeing Donald Trump actually singing a new tune about these tariffs. Now, he is promising that these tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd. They're still going to be ludicrous, but if we listen to the language that he uses here, we can start to notice that maybe somebody got to Donald Trump. Maybe he's realizing that these weren't a great idea. We'll see how it goes because Donald Trump is like an erratic child throwing a tantrum in a sand pit. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But let's go ahead and look at this press conference he did from the Oval Office. Here he is reminding us that 25% tariffs are coming for cars that aren't made in America.
And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been seeing, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs.
Well, I guess if there's a silver lining here, he's not talking about 100%, 200%, 1,000% tariffs. But let's be clear, 25% tariffs on vehicles is going to be devastating for the American consumer. If we all need a reminder here, tariffs are a tax that is paid by the person or business that is importing the good. They import the good, they pay the tariff, the 25% tax, then they go ahead and pass that price onto the consumer. And so the people that is going to get hit hardest by these tariffs are the middle class. People who are living paycheck to paycheck cannot afford a 25% increase on especially something like a vehicle. I mean, vehicles are already a huge expense, and now you want to add another 25%? To their costs. I mean, it is absolutely insane. So then he's asked about whether or not he can ensure that this won't be affecting prices long term. Let's see what he says.
How do you assure Americans then that this will not cause a long-term increase in prices?
Well, look, I think we're going to have a market the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, not in this country. You know, we had the best market ever in my first term. It was the strongest market ever, the best economy ever. And I think I think this blows it away. But this is something that people have wanted to do, presidents have wanted to do for a long time. A lot of them didn't understand it. It wasn't a priority for them. But foreign countries understood it very well. And they've really ripped us off at levels that nobody's seen before. But
when are we going to stop governing in slogans? Oh, we're going to be the richest we've ever been. This is going to be the greatest. I had the best economy that everybody's ever seen, ever. This is not an answer. If you're going to bring tariffs onto the playing field, they're going to raise prices for everyday consumers. How can you ensure that those prices aren't going to be long-term? And the simple answer is he can't make that guarantee because I think he wants to make these tariffs permanent. And if you have a permanent tariff and you're adding a 25% tax, especially to something like cars, well, then of course, those prices are going to be felt way into the future. Then he goes on to promise that, yes, the tariffs are coming next week and they're going to be to all countries.
Will those be immediately effective April 2nd on all countries, or will you focus on the worst offenders?
No, we're going to make it all countries. And we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades.
Did you guys hear that? Oh, that might be a little bit lenient. I think people will be surprised. It might even be less than the tariffs that they've been charging us for many, many decades. Well, that sure sounds like Trump is singing a new tune, and it sounds like it's in the right direction. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on here. I don't know if Donald Trump is actually reconsidering his position on tariffs. I don't know if somebody got to him and is talking some sense into him. But it would be a good development if Donald Trump is actually heading in this direction. Tariffs are no good. These trade wars are good for nobody. As we have seen, if we implement tariffs on Canada, they're going to implement tariffs right back. Then that hurts our export markets. So now you've got an import market that's going to suffer. You've got an export market that's going to suffer. Your GDP starts going down. These tariffs, they're not good for anybody. Again, I just don't know why Donald Trump is so infatuated with these. I don't know why he thinks that these are just going to be such a huge revenue generator, when, of course, that's not what happened in his first term. He did increase the revenue that was created by tariffs, but then he had to turn around and bail out the farmers with a third or half of that money. So it just didn't work. I just don't understand why he continues to pursue this idea. He then goes on to talk about whether or not these are going to be permanent or not.
Conditions under which you'd remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Okay, so Donald Trump used to say that, or I don't know if Donald Trump said this or if it was just the MAGA base saying it, but everybody used to say that, oh, well, he's just using these as a negotiating tactic, guys. He's playing 4D chess. You just can't see it because you're just not as smart as Donnie Boy here. But here Donald Trump is saying that, yeah, these are going to be permanent. I mean, how else are we supposed to take this? Donald Trump has a weird understanding of tariffs. He thinks the foreign country who is importing the good is the actual one paying the tariff, when that is just not true at all. And now he is promising that they are going to be permanent. Does that mean we're going to have a 25% increase on all cars that are imported into the country? I think so. We'll just have to see how it goes, because Donald Trump has been like an erratic child with these tariffs. Like I said, on again, off again, on again, off again, pause. We'll just have to see how it goes. Then somebody asks him about whether or not Elon could be affected by these tariffs.
So did Elon Musk advise you at all on these auto tariffs?
No, because he may have a conflict, so we don't talk. I've never talked to him. Elon's amazing. He's never asked me for a favor in business whatsoever. I'm actually a little surprised by it. I might do it, I might not do it. I do what's right, and he'd want me to do what's right. No, he's a patriot. He has never, these are big deals we're talking about. This is probably nothing like this. And I've never had Elon come and say, would you do me a favor with the mandate or the electric mandate or anything? He's never asked me for anything.
Does anybody believe that? Didn't Tesla, the company, send a letter to the White House to say, hey, these tariffs are going to be absolutely terrible for our company, because even though we make a lot of the stuff here, there are still things that we have to import to build our cars. That might not have been Elon himself asking Donald Trump for a favor, but to think that Tesla is not going to be impacted by these tariffs, or that they wouldn't want a different outcome with these tariffs, seems to be just laughable to me. Donald Trump wants you to think that there's no conflict of interest, and they're playing it by the book. They're making sure that nobody's involved that could have extra benefit, or, it's the corruption is just so out in the open. And then he gives you these little toys to play with, saying, oh, well, Elon's never asked me for anything, to try to sell you a narrative that just isn't true. Elon is obviously benefiting from the work that he is trying to do in Doge. He's targeted agencies that have had open investigations against him. He's targeted agencies that could regulate him in the future. So Elon Musk, to think that there is no conflict of interest here and that he's just removing himself from these situations, it's just a load of shit. Nobody should believe it. These people are lying to you. And, they prove over and over and over again that they're just trying to rig the system in their favor. It is that clear. Donald Trump has then asked one last question about tariffs related to China.
China is going to have to play a role in that, possibly, in the form of an approval, maybe. And I think they'll do that. Maybe I'll give them a little reduction in tariffs or something to get it done, because every point in tariff is worth more money than TikTok If you think every point, tariff is a much bigger world, and TikTok is big, but every point in tariffs is worth more than TikTok. So in order to get China to do, maybe I'd give them a reduction in tariffs as an example. Sounds like something I'd do.
Is this old geezer okay? Oh, it sounds like something I do. I might do that. I might be able to reduce the tariffs a little bit so we can get this TikTok deal to roll on through. But the tariffs, they're bigger than the whole TikTok. And what is he talking about? This just goes to show you that Donald Trump never had any intention of using these tariffs as some sort of negotiating tactic. He just wants to use him to see if he can benefit his own self in any different way that he can. And to think that you're going to be lowering tariffs on China while not giving our allies any relief at all or any way for them to reduce their tariffs, well, that just seems backwards. Why is it always the case that you're benefiting Russia, you're benefiting China, you're benefiting all of our other adversaries, but then you're not even playing nice with our own allies? I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. We've seen this over and over and over again. He never has anything bad to say about Russia. He doesn't have anything bad to say about China. And now it looks like he might give them an off-ramp with these tariffs so they could push this TikTok deal through. But again, then you're just creating an unfair advantage for one of our adversaries. I mean, it is just absolutely insane. Donald Trump, I just don't understand, like I said, why he has this weird infatuation with tariffs. I don't think there's a good argument to be made that he is using these as leverage to get stuff in negotiations, even though we've got small examples like this where he says he might lower them to get the TikTok deal done. But then again, that is only Donald Trump trying to benefit himself, to make himself look like a big, bad, tough guy by getting another deal. It just all doesn't make any sense. Donald Trump is becoming more and more unhinged in this second administration. He's had this weird tariff idea for the last decade that he keeps on pushing on. The markets have told him, we don't like these. The American people have said, we don't like these, but he continues forward with them anyway. And hopefully, if this was any indication, maybe, just maybe, he's starting to soften his views on these tariffs a little bit. We saw here that he said he might be a little bit more lenient. They could be lower than we thought. So maybe, just maybe that's the case. But I would not hold your breath. Like I said, Donald Trump is like an erratic child throwing a temper tantrum in the sandbox. And so there's just no telling how he's going to act, whether it be tomorrow or a month from now. He's just not capable of doing anything substantive, and doesn't appear to have any long-term thinking on these things. And it doesn't really seem to matter to him that he's just going to be hurting the American people by pursuing this terrible, terrible idea of tariffs. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And please, everybody, if you guys want to see how the Trump administration is rounding up innocent people and sending them off to an El Salvadorian prison where they are likely to be subject to violence, torture, possibly death, please do watch that video on the screen now and share it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.